Hello. What's up, everybody? How we doing? Thanks for tuning in today. I got important theoretical analysis on photography. And this time I'm in the studio. Different space, it's bigger, better equipment. I like it. Takes a while to set up, but I'm here. So, let's get into it. I recently returned from a 3-week trip to Mexico and Colombia. I was in La Ciudad de Mexico, Puebla, Cartagena, and Medellin. Out there, I ate tons of delicious food, met amazing, fantastic people from all over the world, hablé mucho español, and discovered and learned so much about these places that I was unaware of before. Daily life is a lot different. Although, not so much, at least in Mexico City and Medellin, as they are large cities. Mexico City at times actually got a bit overwhelming, as there are 12 million more people living there than there are here in New York City. Now, I could sit here and go on and on about my 21 days abroad, but that would get boring, and it's not the main idea of this video. I'd like to talk about my thoughts that I was having and now have expanded on about photography, travel, and memory. For this trip, I brought my small Fujifilm X100T. All I had was a backpack, which allows me to travel with ease, security, and minimalism. Travel is something we all hope to experience. It opens a new door, a breath of fresh air, and often signifies a break from work and school life. That's exactly how it felt, but there's also a hint of underlying anxiety about my place in all of it. The Fuji is my go-to street photography camera, and that was one of the reasons why I took this trip. I love walking down the street and making images, especially when it's in a novel place like a new city or country. But that's where my questions and thoughts come in about traveling and making images and taking photographs, while also balancing that with enjoying the trip. We know that photography is a big part of traveling. When stepping into the role of a tourist or when viewing other tourists, it is evident that taking pictures of any location visited is essential, especially when the tourist is in the photograph. If you walk to any high traffic area, you will observe this, such as Times Square, or in my case, in Colombia, at the top of the rock in Guatapé. Phone photography and the modern ease of travel has led us to a mass memory, where every image is uploaded online or goes to the cloud. In the modern world, the drive to travel and capture memory is also fueled by a fear of missing out. So the internet has led us to parasocial relationships and seeing other people who make their life seem if it's better than ours. So in turn, we are led to go to different places and upload photos of ourselves and make memories there to show others that our life is just as good. Individual archiving has steadily increased, and by 2030, there will be 2.3 trillion photos taken every year. As someone who doesn't use the internet that often, and only shares my images on a professional website and YouTube sometimes, It's hard to make connections to this category of memory keeping, though in the past, this would make a lot of sense. I'm in these places too, making images while I travel. However, they are not to keepsake the memories, or to place myself in somewhere new. There's a lot of tensionality behind them, and I'm less interested in the spaces and remembering what they looked like, but more how I can use this space and the people interacting with it to make a strong image. I go in with a creative mindset and never picture myself in the place, but instead from an outside perspective. So, if I want to remind myself of where I went, I can always go on the internet and search for a picture of the Zocalo, for example, the plaza in Mexico City. Personally, I'm not interested in a photo of myself in the place I visit, just to prove that I was there. One can make an argument that it helps us remember where we went and our time and experience in the place. However, that is not always the case. The easiest way to say why our memories of travel are weaker is because the camera is a distraction, specifically the camera on the phone. Because there are so many distractions when using the camera on our phone. It is not just the camera being used, but Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, where the user waits to upload their image along with the caption and hashtags. The image becomes a spectacle on a small rectangular device for their followers to see and like. A long paper by the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology found that across 3 studies, participants without media consistently remember their experience more precisely than participants who used media. So, in conclusion, they found that using a phone may prevent people from remembering things that they were actually trying to preserve. The abundance of cameras and people taking photos in today's world makes it feel as though my images are just another drop in the sea. What exactly makes them important? Nothing. There's so many that how can I feel as though mine being shared somewhere have any importance? It also makes me question whether I should be taking photos of myself as well because everyone else is doing it. And also, what is going on with my memory when it comes to travel when I do my street photography? I don't know, and it's something that I'm looking to solve, or at least theorize. During the trip, I was a lot slower in my making of images, taking the time to observe and listen to what other people have to say. I think it's really important to not have the headphones in and just walk around with the camera and talk to people, make friends, understand how your life differs from theirs. Sometimes I felt a barrier to taking pictures because one part of me wanted to just live and experience rather than take my passion and my job and increase it further, updating my portfolio and making work that I thought was special. And it was just an interesting experience to actually step back and put the camera down and go on walks without it, because that's something that I'm so used to. Everything is so novel when going on vacation that part of me wants to just take to have that image, and it's locked in as a concrete experience. But after a while, I just felt burnout and didn't feel like I had a creative mindset anymore, and it was just snap, snap, snap without necessarily thinking critical and being intentional with the work that I'm making. There's a lot to take in when living in the modern world. There's so much stimulation, interactions, distractions, and events that take up much of our thinking throughout the day. Advancement in technology and dependency has changed the way that we look at the world and experience it. Remembering everything we do is impossible. Life is so much faster and more complicated. traveling is a great way to combat feelings of this overwhelmedness and stress, but they're experiences that only last so long. It is much more positive to remember a beautiful trip to the beaches of Greece than to remember the degrading interactions with your boss. We feel a need to capture these vacations or events because they are likely to slip away. And there's nothing wrong with taking pictures of places, things, and images of ourselves in these places. However, we must recognize the effect that this is having on our memory. For example, we must pay more attention to our surroundings and reconstruct information from scratch. We must take photos. It's imperative to remember certain things. However, we should use the camera sparingly and use it on the moments that are more dear to us. It also helps to write down the feelings you felt about a certain situation without using technology or other stimuli. And a balance between photography and on vacation and just experiencing it is the perfect way to remember and enjoy without feeling the need to capture and remember everything. Remember, always a balance. And that's what I did on this trip. In the beginning, it felt like I went to walk around and do all these things, and I did. And I had the camera, but it wasn't always up and with my finger on the button. And it did feel really nice to be very, very selective in what I took. And it's almost like shooting on film, but the camera that I used, the Fuji, is digital. That's what film does. You know, it helps you slow down and really pick what you want. But I felt like I had some restraint. And looking back on it, I feel like I'm a changed photographer from the experiences that I had and the writing that I made and the interactions and the reflections, I guess you could say, on what I did. Now I feel more confident and more professional and a better photographer. Now I've learned to take a step back and slow down not just with photography, but with life. In New York City, everything feels so rushed. My life feels so rushed, or I feel like I have to rush and be to the next place, or else I'm going to be a failure and have no success. But going away to these places and really slowing my time down and just relaxing and enjoying, it's much different. My feelings and my mood and my interactions and just daily life is a lot different, and I'm very appreciative of that. So, thank you, memories and travel and photography. It's been a pleasure.